Welcome back to our podcast channel where we discuss everything sales. I'm your host David Pereira, and today I have Steve, CEO of Braven. So today we're going to discuss a topic that I am absolutely awful at, especially in the sales journey, is the idea of patience in the deal. I've brought Steve in specifically because he's going to bring in his wise words, as well as I think we've had this conversation very often with each other, where Steve looks at me and he's like, "Dave, just calm down, just relax, don't do it." So, I mean, the first question I've got to you, Steve, is, when do you put pressure on a deal? When should you be impatient, and when should you be patient in the deal?
Actually, it's an interesting one. So I'll probably take you back in time. So I worked for a company, and it was run by a lady actually, and I'm sure this woman used to find to work on a broomstick, the biggest witch you've ever seen. Anyway, she was the business. She owned the business and she did well. So something she did right, and the thing she did right was recruited incredibly good people, and the thing she did wrong was pressurizing the sales team to the point where the people actually left the company because of it. And she came up with this whole concept of 90-day sales cycle. And that is how long you have. And it was selling enterprise.
From opening up the deal to closing it.
Yeah, they actually had a 90-day sales cycle, and she was adamant that she had to stick to that. Well, the problem with that is that it's not driven by the salespeople, it's driven by the buyer. The buyer dictates the pace of the actual deal. And their internal processes. What happens if it runs after 90 days? And in a lot of instances it does. When you're selling strategic products, you can't sit and dictate timelines. It's got nothing to do with that. At the same time, I'm going to bring up a different story. So I want you to have audits put on my house. And so it's a weird story, but it's a true one. First guy came in there, did all his measurements, gave me the quotation, walked away. The second person came in there, did the same thing. The third one was an old lady who arrived there. I had to carry her little ladder off the car, stand it up. I had to do the measurements for her because she's an old lady. And afterwards, she came in and said to me, "Well, why don't you make us a cup of tea and I'll quickly prepare the quotation while I'm sitting here." And I'm like, "That's fine." So I'm going to make some tea. I sat down with her and she gave me the quote. And when she gave me the quote, she said, "Steve, how does that price look?" And I said, "Well, to be honest with you, I've got 3 quotes and you're kind of in the middle." She said, "Well, if I may ask who the other people?" And I said, "It's this company, that company." And what she then did is unpack what she had better than what they had and all of that. And right there and then she said, "If I kind of meet you halfway between the lowest and myself, can I have the business?" And I'm like, "Yeah, good, I'm happy with that." And I signed it off. And that's how quick her sale actually happened. So there's a couple of messages in there. The first is, don't be scared to ask for the business. When you're dealing with people and they want to buy something, why are you hesitant to sell them something? Why? Why are salespeople too scared to ask for the business? Counter that against when you kind of still shopping.
Yes, I think that's
the shopping
important
stage, not the buying stage.
Yes.
The customer, are they at their buying stage or at their shopping stage? If you're at the shopping stage and you get a sales guy who harasses you, it chases you away. If you're at the buying stage,
you actually want them to
and you want that sales guy to sell to you. So you've got to, as a sales guy, try and establish, is this person shopping or buying?
But I think it's, to your point, just ask the question.
Yeah,
just
ask them the question.
Yeah.
How few times have you ever asked the question, are you shopping for a solution or are you buying a solution at this stage? Have you thought of that?
I haven't thought of it because I'm just thinking back to one of the deals that I'm doing at the moment where he said it to me, where he's like, "Listen, Dave," and he didn't use the term shopping, but he said, "I'm looking around at the moment."
Yes.
And I should be asking him, it's like, where are you at the moment?
Yes.
Because are you shopping or are you buying? Because I think that, to your point, it then determines how much pressure you should put on the deal, how patient you should be.
Yeah.
Okay, that's food for thought. I quite like that. It makes me think to that one deal, sorry, and I know this is completely outside left field, where you've told me the story a few times when you were dealing with a hospital group and the guy had the deal on the table and and you didn't ask for the business.
No, well, so that's a particular scenario. We sat there. It was a massive deal in those days. I mean, it was a big, significant, strategic deal. And I was sitting with this guy, and I was talking to the guy who's the CEO of the business. And I said to him, "This is what our offer is." And he sat there and he thought, and nobody said anything. And the guy, and my partner then said, "Oh no, don't worry, you don't have to decide now." And have you ever got up in a sales meeting and actually wanted to strangle your partner in a meeting? That's, you know what I mean? Other question number one.
Patience in that, patience of just, I think I want to determine patience in being patient on a day-to-day and weekly basis, but also patience in a meeting.
Yeah.
It's like if there is a pause in a meeting, don't necessarily be the first one to speak, just let there be uncomfortable silence.
It's like almost like you who speaks first loses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree with it.
So that's where patience.
Yeah.
The next thing is a deep understanding of the process. You know what I mean? If you try and, have you ever been hurried by a sales guy? Actually irritates you. Do you know what I mean? If you say to the guy, "Look, you know what? I want you to go back. I want you to think about what you have to offer. I want to digest what you have to offer," and he pushes you. He actually pushes you. Then what you do is he pushes you away, not pushes you towards you. And that's critical, that you don't get pushed, that you don't push too hard, that eventually you get seen as a pain in the arse, not as somebody who's trying to provide a service. And the last thing you want to do by not being patient is look desperate.
Yeah.
How often there's enthusiasm and then there's desperation. And when a sales guy comes across as desperate for your business, it's worrying. You know what I mean?
But I think it's also, I think I've said this to you a few times, is I heard it from someone else, I can't remember who now, but where they say sales is like a game of tennis. In that you obviously, you serve and you've got two serves most of the time, and you hit the ball back at the partner and your client needs to hit the ball back. But if they're not hitting the ball back, why do you keep on hitting the ball at them? They're not, they're not a ball. They need to be hitting the ball back because it's a conversation you need to have. It's not just this one-way thing. And I think to your point is, if you start just one way all the time, you need to be more, you need to think about it. What are you saying? Are you sending up that follow-up message, or are you sending something interesting? Because they're still in the buying phase, to your point. They're still in the shopping phase. So how are you helping them in that shopping phase? How do you send them an article that's maybe relating to what they're shopping for? Or how do you help them along that journey? And I think, so that you're not desperate. Because if you keep on pushing, they're clearly going to see that you're desperate. And it's very difficult for a salesperson to not necessarily be desperate. Because they're always chasing quota.
So there's two elements to why salespeople lose patience. First of all, it's money in their pocket, and second of all, it's pressure from the business that they're working in. So, as a business owner, you have to have as much patience as your sales guys have. You know what I mean? I mean, what you don't want is I talk about how much pressure do you apply to salespeople, and what you want is you want your guys to be motivated, but you want them to come across as motivated and not desperate. Think about when we put pressure on our sales guys. It builds up anxiety. Anxiety leads to one of two things. You can either be anxious, and it's a motivator, or you get a thing called debilitating anxiety, that you become so anxious about your lack of progress on deals that you start being desperate, and desperation leads to stupid decision making. So you start chasing deals that are never going to happen. You start inventing a pipeline. So so it's such an interesting one. Patience in sales. It's something that's like almost seem contradictory.
It does,
But it's I can't tell you how many times I've said to Dave, slow down. You send the guy stuff, wait, just
the reason, I think you've said it to me a few times, like the reason, try to think about why he's not coming back to you. He's got nothing to say to you. What's he going to say? Cool, I had a chat. That's not helping you at all. I think but again, it's that anxiety. It's like, okay, where are we in the deal? What's going on? And I think being able to control that, having confidence in what you said is going to help them.
Well, think about how we run our pipelines. So we run our pipelines on a weekly basis. But if there's no progress on a deal for a week, because the customers slowed things down for whatever their reason is, Maybe they're doing internal due diligence. Maybe they need to get the 3-quote system.
Maybe there are other projects, you don't know what's going on
Or
there. Yeah.
it's just not one of their major priorities.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that all your deals are progressing in pipeline? You know what I mean? And so as the sales guy, you have to almost like be able to talk to your boss and say, guys, patience. You know what I mean?
It's a difficult thing because now you're talking on
balance.
a sales manager and salesperson around this whole patience item, and I think the one affects the other badly. Because I mean, to your point in the prior business you were talking about, is the sales manager was just putting pressure and pressure and pressure. You know, if they're nowhere near their sales cycle, they haven't put budgets. I mean, if they haven't done that, you can't expect someone to just pay. And I think we've seen it often where people bring in, especially and I think this might be a naive comment, but bring in that American mentality where, oh no, we're going to drop 50% of the cost and all that. And in where we sell at the moment, that's not the way people buy.
No.
And I mean, you've sold in a lot of territories around the world. Are people more like how South Africa operates, or is it more how the Americans operate?
Very territorial.
Is it very different?
Yeah. I mean, America, absolutely. India, it's all around. You drop your price, they expect you to have a negotiation.
Okay.
There's a whole bartering. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
In sort of British colonial type of, historically colonial type of environments, they're not into bartering. It's you have a price, and in fact, if you drop your pants on a deal, it's seen negatively.
So why are you now giving me a discount?
No. So, yeah.
It's interesting trying to understand what the culture, the buying culture is. Different.
European countries, I think, are more. They're not into bartering.
No.
They don't barter.
Am I getting the value for it?
Price? Can we assess the value of it? Is it make business sense? Yes, you do it. They're not into trading. And so, culturally, maybe the Mediterranean
that's more
bartering, those Indian, and sort of that whole Asia Pacific they're bartering, you know what I mean? But no, not so much with like
the colonial, so like Australia, UK, those Canada even.
Yeah, I mean Australia, I can't imagine you going in there like a bartering.
It's like cool, we're going to drop about 50% that we don't care.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also about price sensitivities around things, you know what I mean? So, the more affluent countries are less price sensitive to, when you start dealing in third world countries, money, it's a big thing, you know what I mean?
Okay. I think we've learned something today. Have you learned something today, Cass? Yeah, I think today's was a very good one. I quite like that one. I think a lot of tidbits can be taken from today's discussion.
But and it's to sales management, and it's to business owners, and very specifically to salespeople. Don't ever come across as desperate because you're going to, people are going to ask questions why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. I think that anxiety thing that you're talking about, keep it under control. Have the conversations that you need to have.
Yeah.
If you've got a proper sales manager or business owner, they'll understand. If they've been in sales long enough, we've seen it recently now where one of the business owners, he hasn't been a business owner for very long, and you can see he doesn't understand the sales cycle. He doesn't get it, and because of that, you're putting pressure on the salespeople when it shouldn't be put there. It shouldn't be put there. You should be more patient. You should be waiting. But obviously, business pressures then come up. You need the revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. But cool. Thanks,
Thank
Steve.
you. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.